Hey, in this video, I'm covering part 2 of how to build your email list. And if you stay until the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how to get the software that I've been using in here. And if you haven't seen part 1, I will link that above here. I'll put a link down in the description as well. So what we have created so far is our system essentially. So let me and our system, I'm showing you how to build it in Symvoly. You can build this in any funnel builder, but if you want to follow along with me specifically in this software, I'll put my affiliate link to the software down below. And if you use my affiliate link, I will personally help you with your setup. So you can see in here, we've got our landing page, or also known as the opt-in page, right? And then we have our thank you page, right? But none of this stuff makes sense for our business, right? And we also set up the emails and automations. I showed you how to connect that to your domain. So you can see here that my domain is now verified, which means that the automation that we set up can now be active. So we'll come back to this after we're finished setting some of these other things up, just to clean up this email automation. But let's go back to the builder and let's talk about some of these pieces that are going to help us get people to opt in and give us their email address. So right now I'm seeing, it's just some random headline and apply for the program, which I don't want people to apply for any program. I want to give them some sort of free thing that is highly valuable, that can give them a quick win. And wait, before we go and do this, I just want to put a disclaimer here that you're probably going to be tempted to want to come in here and change all these things around and mess with the design, but that is one of the most common distractions that I see with my clients. Is they get worried about this at this stage, but don't worry about it at this stage right now. We will come back and we will address the design piece of it. Yes, it does play a factor in how many people will actually convert on this page, but it's not the thing that will convert. So please do not give it that much attention in this moment. Let's get the thing set up first that's actually going to bring them in. So what we need to go and find out what it is that's something valuable that we could give to our audience that they would want. And this is another thing that people tend to get tied up on is, let me make my face a little bit bigger, is assuming that you know what your audience wants. And if you haven't been interacting with them, like if you don't have an email list already, then you might just sort of be guessing, and that's fine. It's fine to guess. You can always test different things. But right now, I'm going to show you how to quickly research some things that they might actually be interested in. So we're going to head over to Reddit. Okay, so here we are at reddit.com, reddit.com. I'll put the link in the description of this video just so it's easy for you as well. And the reason why I love using something like this is because you can quickly search for things related to your niche, whatever you help people with, and find what people are saying. And finding what they're saying is going to give you hints and clues into what they actually want. So I'm going to use my example. So right now, what I'm building this out basically in front of you to just show you how I would do it. So I'm building it for my particular niche, which is acupuncturists. I want to help acupuncturists grow their email list. So I'm literally going to search acupuncturist. And I could search acupuncture, but that could possibly bring up results of people who are considering getting acupuncture, so that's not really the right person. I want someone, someone who's actually practicing acupuncture, right? So even more specifically, I want to look for any conversations here that have to do with acupuncturists and their business, right? So if we read through some of these things, this is like considering being an acupuncturist. That's not really quite the right person. I want to become an acupuncturist. Recommend an acupuncturist. No, that's not it either. All right, so acupuncturist didn't bring up the results that I was looking for. I was bringing up some of those things that I mentioned. Then I tried acupuncturists, and that still didn't work. So my next search was acupuncture business. And so now, actually, if you look through some of my results, you can see this one here. How do you market your practice? That is exactly what I'm looking for. So, and even this here too. Anyone else see a decline in business in their acupuncture in their practice? So let's open up these conversations and see what people are saying. All right, so I found a few conversations that, some acupuncturists are having about their business. And it's kind of interesting because I'm getting to know their language of their struggles and their pain points. And you can do the exact same thing with your business. So let's say maybe you are an acupuncturist, but you help people with pain. So you might search something, on Reddit that might be related to, back pain or maybe just like chronic pain or something like that, right? And then just sift through the conversations and kind of see what people are saying. So some of the interesting things that I noticed here. So first of all, this conversation was opened by the question, is anyone seeing a decline in their practice? And it's a lot of talk about like how COVID made their practice kind of go bunk a little bit. But a big thing that that stuck out to me in here was this guy right here who's like, does anyone know anyone who has a sustainable acupuncture practice? That's really key. So you want to look for these kind of key things that pop out, because when I think about this, I'm thinking I could definitely use that wording to call in the kind of person that I want, right? So I could say something like, and let me open up, let's say, a little notepad here to write down some notes. And let's do a new note. So let's write a little note here. And what do we want to call them? Tidbits. So I'm going to say sustainable acupuncture practice, right? So that's one thing that really stuck out to me. And now I'm going to go to the next one. And this conversation was opened by asking, how do you market your practice? So this person is it's probably a sole proprietor, owns their own acupuncture business, and they've been trying Instagram, Facebook, print media, blogs, vlogs, social media managers, Groupon. So all of those things are important because I can use those, especially like something very unique like Groupon. So, I'm actually going to write that down as well, which is Groupon, social media, or social media manager. And then I'm just going to put SEO here because I know that's another one that's coming up here, which I will show you in just a sec. But just kind of going through this, this person gives a whole bunch of like things that they felt worked for them. And some of the things is like they're saying like stop listening to business coaches. So you could actually, like for me anyway, I could definitely hit on that where I could sort of like pit against just like a general business coach. because they don't actually know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about running a wellness business. He says a few things about location. That's not really my niche though. So like, for me, I teach email marketing and how that can sustain their business, right? So some of these things will be irrelevant to me specifically, but you want to think about what will be easy to relate back to your thing, right? So things like coaches, I could definitely relate back to my thing. Some of this stuff where he's talking about like, you know, your current location, not really related. But I could say something like, that doesn't, that like maybe say something that like, that doesn't rely on your office location, right? So basically the way that I could relate that back to my what I help them with is that like what I show them doesn't have to rely on where they are like physically located, right? So in that way I could actually take that piece. Television, I could even just say like, you know, TV ads. Other things, geofencing. I'm not really very knowledgeable with geofencing, but they do mention radio, so I could say maybe like radio ads. Clinic structure. So he's like basically going through and like talking about like a different kind of like clinical structure. So what I could actually say is something that's like without a complicated clinic structure, because like that's just getting so complicated, right? It's like keep it simple, stupid. It's like your clients will like that too, right? It's my sessions are 60 minutes. That's it. You're in and out kind of thing, right? Or whatever it is. And that's not saying that they can't do whatever other thing, but it's just sort of touching on that pain point that like other acupuncturists might relate to. Word of mouth. Okay, single most important marketing tool, word of mouth. Okay, that is huge. That's a huge piece of information to know, because if acupuncturists all think that the single most important marketing tool they have is word of mouth, well, I can really touch on that a lot and really like kind of pit against it. And the reason why I'm saying pit against these things is because if you pit against what they think is the norm, then that's what's going to make you stand out and get people curious as to what you're talking about. And so I'm going to say, without relying on word of mouth, and I could touch on like why don't you rely on that? It's like it's unreliable. It's unreliable. It's hard to measure, right? It's like it could be sporadic, right? Sporadic. Just depends, are people talking or not? And then sponsoring things, I do kind of feel like that's kind of a good strategy, so I'm just going to kind of leave that there. But one of the other things that I did notice in some of this other conversation was like networking and SEO. SEO is a big one. Everyone thinks they have to do SEO, but it's like, dude, people don't realize how much time it takes. It takes time and a ton of effort to get SEO optimized, when they could just literally run a $5 ad and then boom, 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 be having people that they can convert in their email, right? So, and to relate that to, let's say, another business, it's like, let's say somebody has back pain and they think that the most common thing is to put heat on it, put heat on it, put heat on it, get a massage, get a massage, get a massage, right? Could be one of those things. And so if you notice that people are saying the same thing over and over again, like look how many times I see SEO, SEO, like all these things about SEO. And also Groupon too. I keep seeing the word Groupon. And also people talking about like specials, don't offer specials. Like discount specials is what I think that they're alluding to. And that part plays well into like charging your worth kind of thing, which will be able to, that's how you make a sustainable business, right? Like let's say like 6-figure biz. Basically, I'm sort of like molding the words a little bit with what I think they could want based on some of these comments that they've made. So I'm thinking 6-figure biz because, first of all, numbers are like they stand out in like words on your page. But I could also allude to like this, like I'd say like sustainable practice as well. So anyway, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We're just basically taking notes of things that really stand out right now. So right now, I mean, I have more. I could go through more, but I kind of have the gist of what these guys tend to be struggling with, right? They basically want to be making consistent, good money, right? That's one that I get. They don't want to be doing like all this crazy marketing. They don't want to be going to all these like networking events, running TV ads, sponsoring people, social media managers, SEO, all this stuff. Like there's so many different marketing things. So I might actually say something like confusing and complex marketing strategies or something like that, right? And word of mouth is another big one that I've been seeing. So what I'm thinking here is that I can touch on these things, and what I want to do is I want to educate them. What I've seen in this conversation is they don't know that email marketing will be like the thing that will really help them. And they probably don't even know that they already have an email list, like with their existing clients, right? So what I could do is the free thing I could offer is maybe like a workshop, like an online workshop, short one. And I can just go through some of these things where I'm talking about how they don't need to be running these Groupons and these special discounts, how they don't need a social media manager or to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on search engine optimization when another business could jump in there right away and start search engine optimizing for the same thing the next day, right? And how they can get reliable client bookings to sustain their practice and maybe grow a 6-figure business, right? And so basically from this, I'm thinking like, what is something that I could give to them that would be highly valuable? It will help me educate them on email marketing, because right now what I'm seeing is that in this particular niche, they don't really know about that. So I need to give them something that's like an education piece. And so for this reason, I'm leaning towards a free thing, which is like a workshop or a webinar, that kind of thing. If you're in a niche where people kind of know a little something, for example, let's say you're an acupuncturist and you want to help people with back pain. And again, knowing exactly the problem that you want to tackle is really important, because this is how you're going to get consistent clients into your business, right? So we're going to take back pain as the example. So if you know that they, you know what, let's just go and search it on Reddit. All right, so we found a few a lot actually on back pain. And so, just quickly looking through this, some of the things that I noticed is that people are talking about, make sure you exercise and get stronger. So, ping, that's like one idea, right? That could be like maybe you give them some sort of like video or PDF, like a little file that has like stretches or exercises that will help with their back pain. They talk a lot about going to a physical therapist. In some of these other ones, I've seen multiple times people mention surgery, right? So here's the different like things that this person tried, which is huge. Like you also want to know what they've tried, because if you talk to that, like if you've tried this, and nothing seems to work, well, get my free thing, right? And this will like help you, start relieving your back pain in the next 10 minutes kind of thing, right? So maybe if you're an acupuncturist, you might say like, here's how to ease lower back pain in 10 minutes using pressure points, even if you've already gone to a physiotherapist, chiropractor, used painkillers, blah, 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 right? And that could be like, maybe you have a little video that you make, right? A little video, they give you their email, you give them the video, show them like how can they like get on those pressure points. Some of these other things is like this person is like asking like what's the point of even living? So it's like a bit of like hopelessness, right? So that's another thing you could add onto your page is like, even if you feel completely hopeless, you've tried everything, kind of thing. So just kind of make notes of stuff like this when you're sort of going through these and seeing how it's like affecting people's lives, because that will really play into, first of all, the thing that you are going to deliver to them, and secondly, the way that you present it on the page, right? So go ahead and go through that, and then once you kind of have an understanding of what it is you want to deliver, then we can come back and adjust these little pieces, and I'm going to do that in part 3. So if you have any questions, I'm going to put down in the description below, first of all, a link to my call calendar. So if you want to have a quick coaching session with me, I have 1-hour slots available. But I'll also put the link to my free Facebook group. So if, investing in a call isn't, on the books for you, then you can just come in the group and we can have a little friendly chat in there. But if you want to have all the tools and everything that I'm suggesting in these videos, make sure you go down in the description of this video and grab your Symvoly account, grab your, join the Facebook group, get what's going to work for you, and make sure you hit subscribe, because this is only part 2 of this series where we're building this out, and we're going to build our email list in the next 2 weeks.